Hello, San Francisco. You're up way past your bedtime. I hope you've slipped into something comfortable. We are here to celebrate the announcement of Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. You saw the incredible trailer downstairs before. Now I am joined by two of the incredible minds behind this project. I've got Brian Mitsoda, the writer from Bloodlines 1, and I've got Andy Kipling here, the CEO of Hardsuit Labs. And we got a lot to cover tonight, guys, so I want to start right at the beginning. Maybe you can break this down for me, Andy. How did this all happen?
Yeah, so I guess in 2015, Paradox acquired the World of Darkness IP, whereupon basically their creative director busted into my office and demanded that we pitch a game to them, and that I reach out to them and demand that we demand that no matter what their intentions were with the IP, that we basically have the opportunity to pitch a game. And then he promptly left and hit up Brian, and that's kind of where it started. So
2015 was the spark.
yeah, that was where it started, and then we had about like 9 months or more of discussions before we finally actually got into development in like August of 2016. But in even though that conversation went a long time, the story that Brian put together basically came together super quickly, and within like the first month or two. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, Brian, you worked on Bloodlines 1. You've been in touch with the community over the years, and then you get this message that says, "Hey, we want to do Bloodlines 2."
Yeah. Kai messaged me with the question of, "Do you want to work on a Bloodlines 2?" And for me, that was just, I was like, I don't know. But by the end of the texting, we had already kind of set up the location, some basic ideas, and we fleshed it out really quickly after that.
I like that. So Kai hits you up. You're like, I never really thought about it, but here's everything for the next game. We got the location. We got new ideas. That just came to you? Was that kind of simmering all this time?
Yeah, it's just kind of one of those things where everything's just flowing really quickly.
Well, it flowed quickly, beautifully, and now we stand here, 2019. You guys just announced that we are going to be playing Bloodlines 2 in a few short months. So how does it feel to be at the end of this secrecy?
Yeah, it's been really hard to not say what we're working on, especially around other devs. We've had to say Project Fraser internally. I think last week was the first time we said Bloodlines 2 out loud and didn't get in trouble.
Yeah, it's been hard to transition out of code language to actual real name. But it's definitely been an intense experience, I guess, as well as like very humbling. Like there's so many fans out there, and they have such strong feelings, and so it's kind of an honor to be able to even work on it. And it's also super exciting because we feel really great about what we're putting together.
Well, and you've built an incredible team to work on this game between Paradox and Hardsuit Labs, which you are the CEO of. You've really put a lot of time and energy into this game. So can you tell us actually a little bit about Hardsuit Labs for those who might not be familiar?
Yeah, so we basically started in 2015, and really we're just a small group of developers who really cared about making great games. And we spent a lot of time bootstrapping ourselves and sort of, really just putting our nose to the grindstone, waiting for the right opportunity. And the news of Paradox's acquisition was really a huge opportunity that we, at the time, seemed extremely remote, but at the same time it was like, why not? So, and again, here we are. So.
Here we are, and you said it just before, there's a ton of fans that are didn't even know to be awaiting this game. It was such a secret. Now it's revealed. They're hyped up in chat. They're hyped up on the internet. The headlines are out already. And this has got to be a little overwhelming, this fan response. I mean, Brian, you know how rabid this community is. What kind of pressure is on your shoulders with this next game?
There's been pressure from day one. It's mostly been, okay, we're going to make another Bloodlines. There's a bunch of people out there with expectations of what that means. We have felt the pressure. It's been daunting. But from day one, we pretty much tried to figure out what makes a Bloodlines game, how can we improve it, how do we capture that feeling, how do we make people feel like they are playing another Bloodlines game. And I think, we've shown it off to press now, and I think the press told us that we're doing the right thing.
Have you had any reactions right away? Anyone struck you? Anyone call you that was a little bit surprised that you've been working on this all along?
I will say, like, when the press kind of came in and then we told them and we showed them stuff, when the press is really excited, that after they see, like, you know, how dozens of these things that, you know, it's exciting. It tells us, again, it tells us that maybe we're doing all right.
Well, Andy, I've had the opportunity to talk to a couple Hardsuit Labs employees, and I know that the rabid fans that were born from Bloodlines 1 found their way into working at your company. So do you guys feel like particularly informed and well set up to do a good job here?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's been an interesting challenge when you're trying to hire for such a prestigious project, and yet you can't tell anybody about it until they're like through the interview process or maybe on the last stage of the interview process. But like we have a number of employees who like didn't even know what they were coming on to, and you know, they liked the company, and then when they found out on day one, they were like, holy crap. And that was always a really great feeling to be able to like offer that opportunity to people. So it's been a really great experience, and again, very humbling. So.
Well, you've both been so close to this project from the very beginning. What are you thinking that fans are going to be most excited for? And you don't have to tell me anything specific. You don't have to get in any details, but you know, what do you know in your heart that the fans are going to be psyched for?
Well, the first one, obviously, everybody still to this day talks about a lot of the characters. And with Bloodlines 2, we're going into Seattle. We're new setting, a whole bunch of new characters. And I think from the people at Paradox and internally and some of the press, we already kind of know that there's a lot of favorites. And so I'm looking forward to seeing, I guess we're already talking about, let's see, who's going to get shipped first.
Oh, the shipping community is my favorite of any in any
people
game.
at Paradox are already shipping people in our games.
Yeah, I guess for me, it's, you know, the world in which, you know, the game takes place. I mean, obviously the characters and the dialogue and everything, the story itself is amazing, but just the opportunity to explore the world of darkness, and in a, you know, it is my home city, Seattle, but like it's such a rich city and offers so much, a deep history, and the opportunity to explore that world in Seattle and then like layer the world of darkness through it is something that I think fans will really grab onto. On top of the characters.
You touched on a note that I definitely want to explore further, Andy. The city of Seattle as a setting. I know we're going to have an opportunity to talk to Brian Usamore and some of the other developers working at Hardsuit Labs. But Andy, we're going to say goodbye to you in just a minute here and move on to our next segment. So is there anything you want to say to the fans as you close out the night?
Again, I'm just super excited to be able to bring a game like Bloodlines 2 to the fans out there, and to all the people who've never even played Bloodlines as well. Just really bring an amazing experience that I know they'll look forward to in 2020. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Andy. Thank you, Brian. We'll be hearing from you in just a little bit. And for you guys on the stream, we want to let you know that NVIDIA GeForce RTX is the official graphics partner of Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. And we are excited to work with NVIDIA on bringing real-time ray tracing and NVIDIA DLSS technology to the game. You guys know that NVIDIA makes a solid product, and I love playing my games on my NVIDIA graphics cards. Sometimes I even SLI with the 2, but I'm not that rich anymore. So guys, we got 2 more wonderful members of this incredible product. From Paradox, I've got Florian Schwarzer, and I've got Kristen Schulte. I didn't say it right this time, did I?
Nobody can.
Nobody can.
No.
I regret that
That's
I didn't
fine.
do justice. But Christian, it's wonderful to have you here. Florian, welcome. As
you.
I understand it, Florian, your responsibility is product manager, and Christian, you are the producer for this behemoth of a game. Florian, let's start out here and just tell me, what was the pitch from Paradox's perspective when somebody calls you up and says, we want to do Bloodlines 2?
Well, that's particularly a big surprise if you haven't asked them. So I mentioned this downstairs. We had bought World of Darkness, and we knew we would want to do it at one point, but Bloodlines 2 was the crown jewel, and there was a very strong feeling that you don't do this lightly. So in the industry parlance, it's called RFP, request for proposals. We hadn't sent anything out. And I come in basically 3 years ago today and get asked, hey, Florian, can you have a look at this pitch that they sent in? It's got Brian Metzola attached. That's the first moment you pike up. The second moment is they have worked for half a year on this. Now, that's basically putting every single thing your average developer has on one card, because they put all that money down, they put all the effort, all the energy into it, and they knew they would have had exactly one chance. They couldn't go to anybody else because, well, it's kind of something that you expect of a saint or a madman and nothing in between. So I walk into that first Skype call, and within a few moments I realize, okay, obviously they have a passion. Obviously they convinced Brian somehow. They also know what they are doing. And yeah, then an hour later I text up Shams and basically ruin his evening talking to him about how we can make this work, because there was no doubt that we would make this work. I have to say though, I mean, this could have sunk Hardsuit Labs. It was completely them. And that happens incredibly rarely. And I'm incredibly happy that for this game, that's how it came about.
Now, Christian, that just bears the question, how did you get roped up into this? Because as I understand it, and as Andy told us, when you're bringing in people onto this project, you can't tell them what you're working on.
Yeah, like I didn't know what I would be working on when I joined Paradox. Like, I would think some strategy game or something like that, which was fine with me. I love strategy games. But I'm there on my first day, right? And I just got a bunch of documents on my table. Florian isn't there, who is my nearest partner in the company, right? And I just read through these documents, like, yeah, this will be your project and everything, and it says Project Fraser, because that's our code name internally. It's actually, like, this week is the first time that we can actually call it Bloodlines 2, which is amazing.
And you guys are screaming it from the mountaintops.
Oh, yes.
There was a very cathartic moment in the room there.
We very much do. So I'm reading these documents, and I'm like, 5th page, I'm like, holy shit, this is Bloodlines 2. And this is not only, I mean, I've told this thing down there, but this is not only because I loved the first game, but I wrote my master's thesis on narration in games and movies. And like, Brian is a living legend in the field, of course. I'm like, what? But I contained myself, got to the job, and today we're here.
And are you satisfied? Looking back, are you
I'm
both
very
satisfied?
much satisfied. I mean, there are always grand plans in game development, right? But this is basically a love child of two really passionate companies. Like, both Paradox and Hardsuit Labs are so passionate about this particular project, and I think it really, really shows inside the game.
And I'm excited to find that there's so much excitement for a game like this, because it's really different from most of the other games you find in the Paradox library. You know, played my Europa Universalis, City Skylines. There's no vampires.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay, I don't mod much.
I mean, there is a common denominator. Like, the one thing that we want to do as Paradox is we want to create games that let you create a story around it. And that is even true with a heavily narrative game as Bloodlines 2. Like, from all the choices that you do in the game, from the factions, the clans, the quests, the dialogues, everything creates exactly your story. And your story will be different from a friend's story. And if anyone knows our communities, they will share all of the stories that they have around this. And everyone's story will be different. So we're really looking forward to what players will do with Bloodlines 2.
I think it's also worth noting that, I mean, we have literally several pen and paper RPG authors working in our company. That's their hobby. They are working on the video games for their full jobs. We have an incredibly RPG-happy culture. I run a few groups myself, and it's literally a fight to get a room to play in the evening. This is the kind of game that we, as a company, I think it's fair to say, have been wanting to make for a very, very long time. It's just nice to finally be here.
And how do you feel about the current market coming in with an RPG where RPGs are experiencing this huge resurgence? Everyone's getting into, whether it's tabletop or these individualized experiences on PC. I think it's a wonderful time for this, and I think it's going to be really exciting for you guys.
Exciting and a little daunting, because the fact of the matter is that right now some of the best people who've ever done this have come back to it. And at the same time, a whole bunch of new people who have really, really interesting ideas, Kara is a nice example of that actually, are entering as well. it's not always easy to be as good as the others, but it's good to have the competition.
Well, and we talked a little bit about the stress of dealing with this huge fandom, this rabid fandom that is coming off Bloodlines 1. And you guys, oh yeah, that's not news to you. I can see from your faces. How are you dealing with this from the Paradox perspective? You know, trying to satisfy these fans.
I mean, one of the things that I've heard most while starting on this project is, oh, you're doing this. No pressure, but it needs to be very good. And I can understand that. Like, I myself have so many stories and ideas connected to Bloodlines 1 that, yeah, I can understand that people want the perfect thing. And one thing that we really want to nail is the atmosphere, the feeling, the character that Bloodlines 1 had, and really transport that into the modern age. Like, we're moving the city, okay, but we still want you to have the feeling that you're coming back to a familiar place.
Yeah, Bloodlines is a vacation in a cool, threatening place where you get to meet weird, fascinating people, and if you want to wreck their nights. And I think that's still the case.
Well, what has been the biggest challenge in bringing this game to market?
I am going through a list. I think the first one, we are publishers, so I think if you were to ask, let's say, Brian or Andy, they would very likely have a different answer. These are very ambitious games, and one of the easiest ways of ruining them is for the developer to not have a solid foundation, not to be able to rely on the fact that, yes, this is how far we can go, this is what will happen if we need to change things, if they can't rely on the other partner. I hope we've made that happen, but I mean, it's been 3 years, so obviously it's a long-term relationship. I hope that they are happy with it.
Everyone in this room, everyone that has worked on this game and has at least talked to me seems extraordinarily happy. And I have to say, it's amazing to, you know, we work in video games. Video games are fun and they're joyous, but you get a whole nother level of bringing something, you know, your own into the world here. So what is the Paradox kind of stamp on this? We talked a little bit about the deep branching narratives, about creating your own story, but what really helps it fit into that Paradox family?
Well, we wouldn't be Paradox if we wouldn't create great communities around games, right? So we love communities, we love talking to our players, we love interacting with them on basically a daily basis. So we're going to do the same thing with this game, right? We can tell you that we know that the modding community was always very important for Bloodlines 1, has kept this game alive and kicking for over 15 years now. We're, of course, going to support modding for Bloodlines 1 from day one. And, of course, we're going to support the game for the years to come. Support the fan community. Yeah, that's something that we really, really want to do.
That's super encouraging to hear. I know the fan community has been active all these years, and they are looking for more ways to reach out to you guys. I saw in chat they're posting the Discord link, so feel free to grab that and hop in the community Discord.
Oh, yeah.
And gentlemen, I want to thank you both for coming on and for talking to me. Florian, we might see a little bit more of you later on, but for now, let's check out that beautiful trailer one more time.
This city will bleed you dry. You're young. You'll fight over scraps. Safety is bought with blood. Yours. Theirs. Ours. Make one mistake, and it's over. Here, no one's hands stay clean. You will come to despise it as much as I do. But I've waited so long to see it again.
I'm joined once again by Brian Mitsoda, and now we've got Kara Ellison up here. Kara is also a writer and narrative designer for the game, and this is very exciting. Kara, you've been getting shout-outs all night for coming into this project and for helping expand it in a really natural way, in the way a fan would want it to be expanded upon, and also the raw writing talent that you're bringing to the project. Brian, you wrote the first game, now you're teamed up with Kara. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves from your kind of work perspective here, so I can get a feel for this relationship?
I goof off, and Brian tells me off for goofing off, and that's how we work. No.
That's a good relationship. That sounds like a really fun place to work. Everyone is having a great time working on this game.
Yeah, I know it's good. I just tried to test the limits of what Brian will let me do, pretty much. And then Brian.
Do we have limits?
We don't really have that many limits. Apart from, like, I don't know, some characters are apparently not romanceable from Brian's point of view, so whatever.
Oh yeah, the fan community is gonna have some things to say about
They're
that.
welcome to do whatever they'd like.
Well, Brian, last time I had you out here, I asked you about working on this game and hiring and being able to work with so many fans of your work, so many fans of the original game. Now, Kara, when I had the chance to talk to you yesterday, you had a great story about how much you really loved Bloodlines 1.
I kind of like started as a journalist, and I wrote a lot about Bloodlines, and just about how much I kind of liked the atmosphere of it, and about how really a lot of the non-player characters in that game would just kind of lie to you constantly and try and manipulate you and try and they have all their own agendas in that game, and very few RPGs really kind of do that with you. They tend to be just like resources, like flat out resources for you as a player. So it was pretty cool to play a game where they had their own idea of what they were going to do to you. We're obviously doing more of that, and I don't know, I love it so much, and I'm so pleased to be working on it. It's like such a gift.
What was, as a player, the thing that made you love it the most?
Well, I really liked the Jeanette mission in the Ocean House. Who doesn't like that mission? It scared the crap out of me when I was, I guess I played it when I was like 17 or 18. How old were you, Brian? But I was really scared of it, I remember, and it was like you went through this massive ordeal and went through this horrible spooky house, all these ghosts, to get this freaking necklace to give to Jeanette, and then at the end of it, like, all hell breaks loose, and I don't know, the coolest thing about it is that you get the chance as a player to feel used, so that's always a good one. That was my favorite memory of it, to be honest.
Yeah, so many games, they're all about making you feel awesome, like you're the protagonist, like your choices are good. Brian, when you designed Bloodlines 1, you didn't give the player a lot of opportunities to feel super good about themselves.
Yeah, it was intentional. So many games are, you play the hero and everybody sits around waiting for you to appear and save the day. But and it's important for a Bloodlines game that you're really small and you're like on the bottom of the totem pole, and everyone else is much, much higher, and they really, they're not sitting around waiting for you. In fact, you're kind of a nuisance. So it's important for us to, I think that maybe feels more realistic if you're going through the world and nobody's waiting for you, and everybody's like, what the hell are you doing here?
I definitely talked to a lot of NPCs that I got the sense that I was bothering them as they were going about their day.
Yeah.
So is that an experience that you're going to be looking to create for players of Bloodlines 2? Is this more about kind of putting you back in your ego box, or are we going for a kind of a different play experience with this game?
We're starting you lower on the totem pole this time.
Even lower?
Yeah. In this one, you start as a Thin Blood, which is kind of a weaker version of a vampire. Thin Bloods are essentially when the blood of the clans dilutes so much, they create Thin Bloods, which really don't have a clan associated with them. And the Thin Bloods are kind of the lowest level. The higher level vampires kind of see them as a pest and a nuisance, maybe even just a sign of trouble. and the Thin Bloods are kind of they're weirder because they're more human in some ways, and their disciplines are weirder, so obviously with the last one you picked a clan, but hey, you're a Thin Blood, and so we're just making it a little bit tougher for you to get through Vampire Society this time.
And Kara, this is I imagine a very fun experience to write. I imagine a very grueling and a tough one.
It's so tough. It's awful.
But what is it like writing from this perspective? I mean, have you had opportunities throughout your career before to kind of write from this less empowered game protagonist perspective? And is there a level of fun or a level of intrigue that you can access now that maybe wasn't available before for other characters?
I mean, I've worked on I did the narrative design for a game called Void Bastards, where essentially you're kind of at the bottom of the totem pole. But for this one, it really does feel like the entire world is kind of bearing down on you, mainly because there's so many extremely powerful vampires in this city, and you're like this tiny little Thin Blood. So yeah, it's kind of like a really interesting sort of writing opportunity, just because, feeling not very powerful, and you have to do a lot more kind of being charming and being kind of cagey and maybe negotiating and coercing people. Sometimes you need to kind of get on the level of like maybe some other Thin Bloods you might find. So it's for certain really interesting to write, just because a lot of stuff isn't just like I'm gonna get out a crowbar and hit you in the face. It's more kind of like maybe I should charm this person and then sort of see if there's another way that I can do this. So that's kind of interesting in terms of like, I guess there are a lot of kind of hallmarks of the immersive sim on this game. So it's kind of like that, where it's like there's a number of ways you could possibly do it, which is always like really fun to write.
Well, and I love that we're going to Seattle for this one. There's a lot of different ways to navigate this huge city that you put out there for us. Talk to me about the challenges of writing contemporary Seattle, as diverse and bustling as it is today, in the Dark World.
Well, we live there, so it's pretty easy to do a study of Seattle.
Okay, you feel like it maps really good in a World of Darkness, like
Yeah,
one-to-one?
absolutely. One of the things we wanted to do was something about this. The reason we were attracted to Seattle is because Seattle's a city that's constantly changing, and you have this struggle between the old concept of Seattle with being cultural and musical city, where now you've got corporations and you've got tech companies coming in and changing the identity of Seattle, and so there's this constant real world struggle to like how much can you change before it's not Seattle anymore. So for us, the game and the factions in the city are all representing kind of aspects of Seattle.
So this is like a great opportunity for you guys as residents to do a meta commentary on where you live and to sort of divide up the city as you see it. When we played Bloodlines 1, it was in LA, and we got to kind of divide up LA into these different areas and break it down. Have you taken a similar approach to the city of Seattle?
Yeah, definitely. We're definitely trying to get kind of the iconic neighborhoods represented there, the bits and parts of Seattle from its history that kind of leak into the narrative and also kind of help inform the background. One of the cool things was that as far as World of Darkness goes, Seattle wasn't really built up. So we kind of got to invent the Seattle through the World of Darkness and create the cast that inhabits it.
And Kara, this is a question for you. How can you give us an estimation of the size of the cast, or maybe just the scale of the reactions and interpersonal, things we can do in the game?
I can't really tell you about the scale because there's just so many characters. Sometimes we actually create characters because we need like an extra interesting ending, or we might say you made a particular interesting decision, we might create another character so that interesting decision may then have a knock-on effect on something else. But yeah, it just kind of keeps expanding and expanding. So I don't know how many characters we have. How many do we have?
At this point, it is a lot.
A lot.
It's a bigger cast than Bloodlines. and their dialogues are insanely long compared to Bloodlines.
Yeah. And I guess part of the fun of it is just like trying to write as many different kind of outcomes as you possibly can, or the most interesting outcomes at least. Not like the most, but like the most interesting kind of ways to. It's like it's never in consideration that you might like have a kind of obvious good answer for anything. So it kind of spirals out of control in a kind of Coen Brothers fashion, where everything gets kind of worse and worse and worse in every
Full
strand.
Malkavian, just confusion spiral.
It just kind of gets out of hand. So the most fun I think in this game is just basically watching the complete shambles like that you've created just kind of get worse, and there's more and more consequences, and that's kind of fun to write.
Well, you said the word ending, and I realized that I have a burning question I need to ask you. Does this story in Bloodlines 2 follow any particular one of the endings from Bloodlines 1?
Well, it's obviously set in a different city, so totally different cast. But the Bloodlines 1, it is called Bloodlines 2, so Bloodlines 1 is still relevant. Everything that
Some big things happened in
yeah,
Bloodlines 1. I mean,
Things that happened in Bloodlines 1, they may be referred to. It's just 15 years later, and those things haven't gone away. They exist. That was L.A. This is Seattle. Who knows if we might see a little bit of reference to the events of Bloodlines 1.
Well, can you tell us maybe some things that have changed in the last 15 years in the world of darkness?
Got anything?
My intentionally huge and vague question to pull spoilers unbidden from you?
I think there's books about it. But
Where I feel like the politics have changed, obviously. So, like, I think the first game like was kind of its time. So now, like, when politics have moved on, so we're trying to write to the politics of like now. So, yeah, there's a lot more kind of things that have changed and like topics that we might discuss that like we would totally approach differently from the first one. So we've been thinking about that too.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, how much is contemporary life sort of reflected in Seattle, and then how much is based on sort of older Seattle lore?
the game takes place in contemporary Seattle. That's not to say that it's vampires, so obviously there could be some that have been around for 100 years, and we get to see what those vampires might have done to influence events throughout Seattle's history.
Like they've been hanging out there the whole time,
Yeah,
hundreds of years, just fiddling with things.
And maybe they are a little bit resistant to change as well.
Interesting. A little bit resistant to change. Don't want to lose control over the city. Trying to exercise some power. I can see how things would get a little crazy for not only the vampire residents, but the human residents of the city. Are we going to be meeting more human characters throughout, or are we sticking with our own kind?
We
trying
mix
to
with
move
the criminal underworld quite a bit in this game. So yeah, there's some interesting characters who kind of go in and out of the vampire kind of world of darkness kind of thing. But yeah, they're obviously, fairly unscrupulous, a lot of them as well. In fact, I think probably a lot of our humans are much worse than vampires, which is, kind of one of the themes that we were looking at as well.
But yeah, how would you, when we played Bloodlines 1 as fans, we really got to experience what it was like to be a vampire, to meet your vampire needs to stay alive and stay functioning. How do you feel about the play experience as a monstrous character in Bloodlines 2?
So, obviously with Bloodlines 1 and Bloodlines 2, it's all about you're a monster. You're trying to fight the beast within and kind of define, what you're willing to sacrifice for the sake of blood. As much as I guess it's basically the fight between how bad can I get before I don't really identify with myself anymore.
Interesting. Well, we all get to be ourselves throughout our narrative, so I always felt very actualized at the end, even if I was a totally insane person. Your game has a way of sort of convincing you that you are what you are. So I do really look forward to playing this, and I want to say, Kara, thank you so much for coming out here and answering some questions, and Brian, you as well. Maybe we'll get you back in just a little bit But
I have to apologize to someone on Twitter because when I made the sewer joke earlier, they laughed so loud that they almost killed their cat or something. So I have to apologize for scaring someone's cat a little bit.
you
Sorry.
scared a cat?
Yeah, I scared a cat earlier.
Well, I'm sure you're going to have to check Twitch chat to find out if that apology was accepted. But I do want to say, is there anyone whose cat you haven't endangered that you want to give a shout out to before I send you off tonight?
To all the cats that love sewers, you know, I'm with you. I stand by you. Please stay alive.
Yeah, in solidarity. We're all down there eating rats, cats. Don't feel too bad about it. Well, Kara, thank you so much for coming on. Brian, we'll hear a little more from you in a bit. But for now, you guys on stream, we got something to talk about. It's Corsair. We are happy to be working with Corsair to integrate their IQ technology with Bloodlines 2. You're familiar with that IQ technology. Those are the beautiful lights around your Corsair products. What these awesome guys have done for Bloodlines 2 is sync up actions in the game. So when these things happen, you get this whole amazing immersive light experience. And immersive is the key word for our next panel because I am truly blessed to be joined by Rachel Leiker, our lead UI UX designer, and Luke Dodge, our art director. And as I understand it, you are creating an incredibly immersive experience for players here. So we really get to feel like vampire monsters as we traipse around Seattle.
We certainly hope so. One of the big design challenges, but also one of the most fulfilling, has been to create a world that the player gets to explore on their own terms. We're not really using any kind of indicators for a lot of the side quests and a lot of the sort of secret interactions that you can do throughout the game because we really want the player to be able to figure these things out on their own and kind of discover them throughout the world as they kind of move through it. And this way we help with immersion, and it also kind of is interesting for us as developers because we get to really stretch our wings as far as doing environmental cues and doing really fun, interesting things to show the player what they can do.
Well, and I can't think of a more environmentally diverse area than going to the city of Seattle. You have the beautiful water, you have the crowded streets, you have the parks that are open and green. Luke, as the art director, what's it been like designing Seattle for the World of Darkness?
It's been a lot of fun, honestly. Seattle's a city I've lived in most of my life, and when we decided to set the game in Seattle, it was really exciting for me to be able to look at the city and kind of reimagine it within the World of Darkness. It's kind of take the spaces that we're familiar with as locals and look at them from a slightly different perspective.
Now, there's a lot of ways you can kind of bring darkness to a familiar space. You can turn down the lights, or you can add some cracks and mold, or you can put some blood on things. What are you using primarily to evoke the darkness and the mystery and the fear that is...
All of the above.
All of them.
Yeah, I mean, the art direction from a high level is neo-noir with some elements of supernatural horror layered in on top of it. So it's we have a lot of cinematic influences that kind of play into the look. So everything from the lighting to the set design is important to get the tone and the mood across.
And then Rachel, you have the challenge of taking this art project and then putting functionality on top of it. With Bloodlines 1, it was a really immersive game. You just had kind of the necessary things in your peripheral vision, no mini-map, you were just in it to win it. So how have you brought that kind of immersive experience to this world?
Well, the first thing we really wanted to do with the UI and subsequently the UX is bring it into a more modern era. There are some things that games are doing now that help enhance the player experience exponentially. One of the things I'm most proud of is the accessibility in our game. We're taking strides to make this game pretty much playable out of the box by multiple groups who typically have difficulty playing games. And that's something that my team and I, and then the studio and also Paradox, have been very supportive about.
That's fantastic. I'm so happy to hear the accessibility factors.
Me too.
That is huge. I watched the Super Bowl that had that wonderful commercial that I think not only inspired a lot of consumers to feel entitled, but a lot of devs to really do these things. And you guys have answered the call in a big way. So
we're trying.
Double thumbs up for that. I love that. And then you have the added challenge of not only adding the accessibility, but adding the functionality and keeping it spooky. Like, the game is scary, and the UI does not get in the way when I play Bloodlines 1, and I expect to be even more pleased with the technology available with Bloodlines 2.
Well, I think you'll be excited about the improvements that we've made to the original.
Now, can you talk to me a little bit about how you guys actually work together, or do you work together when you're designing kind of the view experience?
One thing that Luke and I frequently talk about is sort of just the tone, especially in the menus. It's one thing to sort of art direct a set. It's quite another to art direct sort of a flat page that gives you just a crap ton of information. But we've been really collaborative on that front, just looking at other sources and looking at what is successful with both the first Bloodlines and then other kind of similar games to find a solution that works for our game.
Yeah, game development in general is very a collaborative experience. So, the artists collaborate with literally every other department, within the studio, and so it's very much a a back and forth discussion typically where we game plan, we talk about priorities, and we like look at solutions to kind of solve the problems that we want to solve. So maybe it's with UI, maybe it's with certain environmental cues. It's always a discussion.
Well, people who got the opportunity to watch the trailer, and we will be checking that out here again shortly, they thought it was beautiful, it was scary, and it was so bloody. But the number one question they had, and I got to ask you guys, do them justice, when are we going to get to see some gameplay?
That is a really excellent question, and you're just going to have to be patient.
Okay, well, I had to ask it. I did it for you guys. I have some other questions for Chad here, too, that I'm going to throw in throughout. Sure. But,
totally.
You guys have so many fans. We talked to Brian and the others who come on the stream, the pressure that there is to get this game right. And I know that you guys have some experience with Bloodlines 1. You're some fans of the game. What, personally, for you, was the most important thing for each of you to get right?
Well, I think Bloodlines has a very specific tone that it strikes. A lot of that's on the writing, a lot of that's in the environment design and the world building. And so, on the art direction side, that was kind of what I was looking at. Is the way that they build up the world kind of and reveal the world of darkness to the player. It's something that we put a lot of thought in at Heartsuit Labs, and I think we're doing a really good job.
From my standpoint, we really wanted to make sure, from a user experience standpoint anyway, is that the reactivity in the game is always very obvious. The player always has the feedback that they need in order to be able to understand that they don't have to take the beaten path to their goal. They can approach things in radically different ways depending on their build, and that they're all fairly obvious, but without being like a giant golden exclamation point above the multiple paths. So it's been kind of a really interesting challenge for us on the UI UX team to develop these systems in a very subtle but interesting and engaging way for players.
And we talk a lot about the branching dialogue options and how many opportunities that creates to define a character that best represents the playthrough that you want to do. But there's also a ton of variety in how you can actually physically solve the puzzles, how you can move around the game, how you can interact with different things. So without spoiling too much, can you give us some of the interactions that maybe we wouldn't be expecting having just played the first game? Because we have the opportunity now in 2019 to add a lot of functionality to games that we didn't have before.
Definitely. Well, one of my favorite things in the game that we have right now is you begin the game as a thin blood, as we've mentioned in the various interviews. But one of the thin blood disciplines that we've developed specifically for this game is called nebulation, where it's basically mist form, where you can become sort of incorporeal to solve problems and defend yourself and things like that. So one of the most fun challenges was being able to show the player how they can use this skill to traverse the landscape. And sort of it was an interesting thing interesting solution that we had come up with that I think works really well. And you'll just have to wait to see it.
I'm excited. Was this a design challenge for you at all, Luke?
Somewhat, and I think on the art side, it would be more about visual messaging to the player. Like making sure that we are showing them the opportunities that they have without beating them over the head with it. So, a challenge for sure.
Well, one of the things that's very popular with games these days is, I get to tell my own story, I get to make my own choices. How far do I get to choose what I look like, my representation in game, and does that even matter? Am I even going to really see myself? Because I don't show up in mirrors, so.
To your first point, the character customization in this game is robust. That is one thing that we agreed on very early on, is that the player should be able to represent themselves in a way that they want to. So we have multiple options in order for people to be able to express themselves in the way that they see fit. for the second point, which I totally forgot, and I'm sorry.
Oh no, I just wanted to know if I want to trick myself out, okay?
Yeah. Oh,
I want to look much cooler than I do right now, that's all.
you look pretty cool. So.
Yeah, there's definitely opportunity for the player to view themselves and their character. We try to provide a variety of options that kind of fit archetypes that people might be familiar with within the World of Darkness. Vampires can be very stylish, or they could not be stylish, but it's all about what the player, how they want to express themselves.
Well, in the first game, we started things off with, and I think it was optional, a little assessment. You could do a little quiz, and it would match you with the clan and sort of give you some direction as you start off in the game here. Do we get any similar direction early on of maybe who we are as a character and how we've ended up in this situation?
In a very less linear way. Basically, the first part of the game is that quiz without having to actually do check marks and read a giant page of stuff. The first part of the game, you begin as a thin blood. Later, you do get to choose your clan. But the first part, you're basically just kind of learning who you are, how to use your powers, and your place in the overall structure of the Seattle vampire power struggle. So that's sort of our way of saying, hey, get used to our world and then make a more informed decision than you would have made in the first game with just a quiz.
So the game is really learning about you in that first stage there, and then it's going to be feeding you some things based on that?
Not necessarily. It's all very player initiated.
Got it.
We merely present the information, and you as a player do with it what you want to do.
Thank you. I'm so afraid of making the wrong choice, and honestly, I feel like the more I play these games, the more wrong choices I make. There's so many. My character is evil. I have to accept that I'm going to do bad things when I play this game, but you guys make it so fun. So I want to say thank you to both of you for coming out here.
Of course.
I think we might be hanging out with you a little
Yeah,
more,
let's do
Rachel,
it.
in a minute. But Luke, I'm going to let you go enjoy the party. But before I do, is there anything you want to say to all the fans watching who are about to enjoy your incredible game?
I think the only thing I want to say is thanks for all the awesome support we've been getting. It's really encouraging. We've been working on this game pretty hard for a long time, and the response is awesome. So, thank you.
I'm so excited for all of you.
Thank you. If you want any direct communication with us, you can follow us at Hardsuit Labs on Twitter, or visit us at hardsuitlabs.com for content, not maybe pertaining to the game, but definitely we'll be able to talk about some stuff.
Well, these fans are going to devour anything you give them, so I think they'll be over there checking that out. You can check out the Discord. We got the link in chat if you guys want to hop in there, talk with some of the developers. Make sure you reach out on social media. That's at Hardsuit Labs for our Hardsuits Lab folks. And ladies and gentlemen, I think we're going to bring in Florian now for the last round of Q&A. Say thank you to Luke and
Bye,
send you
Luke.
off. And Rachel's going to stay. I feel so lucky to have you both here.
We're lucky to be here.
We all are. The gaming industry certainly makes me feel that way every day. It's so fun to work in video games, but it's hard too. And I know that you guys have been working extremely hard on this game, and it doesn't just happen, does it?
Definitely not.
Tell me some stories from the studios when you guys finally got to talk about this game that you were all working on, that it's going to be Bloodlines 2.
Although I know everyone watching back in Seattle has been very excited for this day, almost since we learned that we were going to be working on this project. It's been just amazing how this whole thing came together. Like, it's a very rare story. How we got in touch with Paradox, which never happens, and how they were so excited to work with us based on a pitch alone. It just never happens, and it's insane. But we're just so grateful to Paradox for all the support and how kind of fun this whole thing has been. Hard, but fun.
I love hearing it. And Florian, from you guys, I know you were really excited about the opportunity to work on this game, but working with Hardsuit Labs in particular, how's the relationship been?
So game development is basically a bet that you make at the beginning of a 3-year process during which you sweat and cry and work and keep doing that for as long as it takes. And at the end, you don't quite know how it's going to come out. It produces quite a lot of stress. It produces very often completely understandable but very difficult reactions when you come into tight situations. I've never had that with Hardsuit Labs. And I can say this honestly after having worked in this industry for about 15 years. I have not met another team that was as open, as humble, and as self-reflective in how they worked. And honestly, that alone is why I'm incredibly happy sitting here.
It sounds like a great partnership, and as a fan of games, it sounds like I'm in for a really exciting game. And we've had viewers in chat this whole time. I've allowed them to ask some questions. I want to full disclosure, these have been curated, so don't get mad at me. But I'm gonna read them off, and you guys do your best to answer. Is that cool?
That's great. We love it.
Question number 1: what platforms will the game be on, and is it exclusive anywhere?
I have an idea of what that question is aiming at. So we are coming out on
I left a word out.
on PC, PlayStation 4, Xbox One. And as far as, let's say, the PC, because I imagine that you can imagine that it's going to be PS4 exclusive on the PS4 and vice versa. Right now, if you want to, you can go to Steam, Epic Game Store, Good Old Games, and the Paradox Plaza store and pre-order the game. Go where you want to play it, and get it.
That is a great answer. And you can pre-order it right now at bloodlines2.com.
Yep.
So, lucky you guys. All right, that was an easy one. I feel like you were too ready for that one. Let's try this one. What clans are in the game?
No.
There are clans.
There are clans, folks. We got clan confirmation. Nothing further?
We are not at liberty to say at this moment.
Not even one?
Sorry.
You guys
You're
are
going to
too
have to wait.
Let's see. What are the connections to the first game? Can you give us any? Brian hinted at some. You want to say, float the information out there, so.
The only thing we can really say in that regard is that this game does take place in the same world that Bloodlines 1. Like, Bloodlines 1 happened in Bloodlines 2 and is felt in Bloodlines 2.
It is felt.
It is felt.
God, you guys are so good at being vague. All right, here's a tough one. Is Brian going to be voicing any of the characters in this game?
That is also something that we are not at liberty to say.
That sounds like a yes, though. I like that one. Okay, no confirmations from me. This is all in my fantasy, in my head.
We do have an amazing voice cast, though.
Yes.
And that's all I can say about that.
Anyone you
So
can
is Brian
confirm?
amazing?
Oh, yeah, of course he is.
Anyone, any voice actors or anyone you can confirm coming back from? That was the same question, but like a different way to ask
Yes,
it.
it was.
Good try.
Well done, you. I'll just pleasantly smile back.
Well, you have a pre-order up already. Are we going to get any opportunities for beta, or are you guys just going to come right out with it?
So people who pre-order will be able to play the game a little early. Apart from that, you set up a beta if you want people to go deep into systems and if you don't worry about the game being spoiled. We want people who are interested in that to be able to step in there and to have the completely untouched experience. So from that perspective, no.
Okay, that makes sense, though. This is a game that I don't want spoiled, because when a few people get their hands on it and they spread that information, well, it takes me a little bit longer to play some of these games.
Exactly.
Now, we did touch on accessibility options before. Is there any accessibility partners that you can name out the gate, or anything that you can shout out in particular for any particular
Not
groups?
quite yet.
Okay.
We're still sort of working through that whole thing.
Excellent. And we hit on the Discord. We have an invitation in chat for people interested in joining, but can you give us some insight into what kind of interactions we might be able to have if we join the Discord? Who are we talking to, and what can we ask?
The Discord is our wonderful community team from Paradox, who are deeply familiar with what we're doing, and we from Hardsuit Labs may show up from time to time, depending on where we're at in development. It all kind of depends on if we have time.
Excellent.
As an added bonus, I swear that I will not be there unless people ask me to.
You don't just go wander in there and answer questions for fun?
I mean, honestly, who would want me to?
Do a little extra work on weekends? I love when you answer my questions. This has been a pleasure. Now, we talked a lot about kind of the fun and the joy and the camaraderie on working on this game, but I want to know if you can share these, if there were any stumbles along the way. Was there ever a chance that this game wouldn't come out, that we wouldn't get to play?
It's a bit difficult to go into particulars. I'm going to say this. Making a game that's worth making always is a little bit like reassembling an airplane in mid-flight. And I think we definitely had our share of those moments.
Definitely.
Well, you've got a team that is very, very capable, so it sounds like they've got their jetpacks on for y'all. And just both of you, I want to give you guys the opportunity to maybe tell a story from working on the game or address the fans and just let them know what you're most excited for.
Oh, wow. Boy. I'm very excited for just the amount of customization and reactivity in the game. It's always something that people like to talk about, and the execution of it is, it varies. But for this game, we really have crafted an experience that players can actively make multiple choices and have the world reflect those choices, which is honestly astounding to me in many ways at just how we're doing it. And I get to work on it every day, so I'm still blown away by all the stuff we have in there. As far as fun stories, there's a lot, but a lot of them are spoilery.
Yes.
Okay.
So
No spoilers. Another question here from chat. There's, some people who have played games like GTA have never been to Los Angeles, and then they fly in and they're like, I recognize this place. Or you play Watch Dogs and you're like, now I know San Francisco really well. Is that going to be an experience that I have playing your version of Seattle, where if I've never traveled to this city and I play Bloodlines 2 and then I fly in, I'm going to be like, I know this town.
So I think the first thing to say is, do not, under any circumstances, use a World of Darkness game as a travel guide.
I guess.
guess.
No, what we're really going for some hardcore landmarks in Seattle. Things that, if you're a local or not, you will recognize portions of. We of course have to make it a playable game space, which means we have to kind of make it different in ways. But there are things that you can definitely pick out in the levels that are from Seattle and exist in real life, and are very popular and interesting places that are very cool to see. So he may not recommend traveling. I recommend traveling.
So I'm going to have to win back my honor a little bit. I mean, I am an outsider, obviously. I'm not exactly from Seattle. And I played certain parts of the game before I actually traveled to you guys for the first time. I would, first of all, some of these areas, I don't think, I stand by that, I don't think you want to check out or as a traveler, it's just saying. But beyond that, whilst I couldn't have used it as a street map, I definitely felt familiar things as I came in there. I think that is what you can get out of this game, definitely. An idea of, well, this is going to sound incredibly stupid, but of what Seattle's about.
That's a very good answer.
Florian, Rachel, I cannot wait to play this game, and I know that I am not alone. So I want to say thank you so much for coming up here, answering our questions tonight. I also have to shout out Christian and Kara and Luke and Andy and Brian, of course, for coming out here. Everyone at Hardsuit Labs, everyone at Paradox. This is going to be a hell of a game. And if you guys want to pre-order, you can head to bloodlines2.com. You can get that sorted out right away. We got that Discord link in the chat. And now I would love to leave you with one last look at that beautiful trailer.
This city will bleed you dry. You're young. You'll fight over scraps. Safety is bought with blood. Yours. Theirs. Ours. Make one mistake, and it's over. Here, no one's hands stay clean. You will come to despise it as much as I do. But I've waited so long to see it again.